This is Mark Schmitz, Gold Star father of Marine Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz. Here we are on a beautiful holiday weekend day. I got to stop what I'm doing, spending time with what's left of my family, to address a heinous, vile, and disgusting post put out by Kamala Harris, trying to incite those that don't follow the truth that President Trump was in Arlington as a political stunt. Shows you how much you know about the 13 families. We invited him to be there. Groundwork was put into place by Congressman Ice's office to make sure we followed protocol. Why did we want Trump there? It wasn't to help his political campaign. We wanted a leader.
Arlington Cemetery. Mr. President, what do you think of President Trump's behavior at Arlington Cemetery with the visit to the fallen soldiers?
I don't want to answer things. I may tell you what I think.
Did you watch your Vice President's interview on CNN?
Anything on the ISIS operation, Mr. President?
What are your campaign plans, Mr. President?
What's up, y'all? Gerald here, creator of Gospel Chops and your host for this YouTube channel, back with another video. Now, y'all, the 2024 presidential election campaign is heating up. In fact, it's heating up to a frantic pace. And y'all know what happens when people get frantic? Well, they tend to make mistakes. Such is the case with the Kamala Harris Tim Walz campaign. She took to the X platform, formerly known as Twitter, just the other day and released a post that reads as follows, y'all. As Vice President, I have had the privilege of visiting Arlington National Cemetery several times. It is a solemn place, a place where we come together to honor American heroes who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service of this nation. It is not a place for politics. And yet, as was reported this week, Donald Trump's team chose to film a video there, resulting in an altercation with cemetery staff. Let me be clear. The former president disrespected sacred ground, all for the sake of a political stunt. This is not new from Donald Trump. This is a man who has called our fallen service members suckers and losers and disparaged Medal of Honor recipients. A man who, during a previous visit to the cemetery, reportedly said of fallen service members, "I don't get it. What was in it for them?" This is a man who is unable to comprehend anything other than service to himself. Y'all can go to the X platform and read the rest for yourselves, but you can see the sentiment that was posted here and put out by Kamala Harris's campaign, or maybe even by her herself. We don't know who controls her X account, but it seems like they got some things wrong. And here she goes with the suckers and losers hoax once again. This rumor that has never been proven, this allegation that former President Trump has denied. And after all of this keyboard warrior babbling, turns out she was wrong in her assessment and wrong in her allegations, because Donald Trump was actually invited to the memorial by the Gold Star families. That's right, y'all. They requested that he be there. And y'all, this seems like frantic behavior in the wake of a CNN interview that went left, in the wake of her collard greens recipe that went left. Seems like this is a problem for her herself and the campaign itself. And she's making frantic mistakes like this. trying to maintain some sense of competitiveness in this presidential race. Well, chick, looks like you've fallen way behind and reaching, resorting to desperate measures. As we approach September 10th and this debate date that it appears like she might even try to back out of. Y'all let me know in the comments if you think she's going to stick around and try to show up for the debate, or you think she's going to come up with some excuse to drop out. I'd love to know your thoughts. Drop it in the comments. But y'all, here we are with this invalid, incorrect assessment of Donald Trump's appearance at Arlington National Cemetery. She's wrong. And how do we know? Because the Gold Star families tell us so.
Abbey Gate on August 26, 2021. This year, for the 3rd year anniversary of her murder, we welcome President Donald J. Trump to Arlington to lay a wreath on the tomb of the unknown soldier with our family and to visit Nicole graveside. President Trump and his team were respectful. They listened to our stories and didn't talk much at all. We welcomed them that day and they were comfort to our family. Vice President Harris, I ask you, why won't you return a call and explain to us how you call my daughter-in-law's death a success? Vice President Harris, why will you not express your condolences yourself? Why have we never heard from you? And finally, why would you take a day where we celebrated the death of our loved one and use it to disparage not only them, but us? President Trump has called, President Trump shows up, and President Trump takes the time to hear our loved ones' stories. Why won't you do the same?
Kamala, your statement is nothing more than a political spin to help you look better in your presidential campaign against Donald Trump. You have never walked a single day in our shoes. Our kids were murdered because of your administration, and you are partly to blame for that as well. What happened at Arlington was President Trump was invited by those families who have their soldiers buried at Arlington. They were invited there as a friend, as somebody who has taken the time numerous times on numerous occasions to hear our stories, to speak our kids' names, and to help us get some accountability from your administration, because in over 3 years, we have gotten nothing but more and more lies. Just like your statement, more and more spun lies and cover-ups to make you and your administration look good. But there is one thing that you said in your statement that was true. No one should be running for president if they cannot honor military members, their families, as well as veterans. So I guess that means that you should step down, Kamala.
Steve Nakui. I'm the father of Lance Corporal Kareem M. Nakui. And your administration killed my son, deliberately in exchange for political theatrics so you could have a final day of the evacuation coincide with September 11th. Ignoring the advice of your generals, the Doha Agreement, and countless other veterans and members of Congress. Denying the safety of the Afghans and the servicemen and women. Your choice to play politics in 2021 killed 170 Afghans, 13 U.S. service members, and wounded 45 of our service members, as well as countless Afghans. You were not at Dover for the dignified transfer. At no time have you reached out to me to offer your condolences, to offer thank you for Kareem's sacrifice and service. Not once have you honored him by saying his name, so I said it for you. You have disparaged all 13 who have lost their lives as well as their families, exhibiting your lack of gratitude by your silence. I agree with you on one thing, that a person like you should never and will never stand behind the seal of presidency. You are a DEI vice president. And contrary to our kids, the worst that America has to offer. I will pray for you that God has mercy on your soul.
His campaign took photos and video of him in Section 60, where veterans of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan are buried, used it in a campaign video. The Army also says that Trump staffers abruptly pushed aside a cemetery official who tried to enforce Arlington's rules prohibiting political activities. I know you were with Trump at least earlier in that day at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Did you witness the altercation at Section 60?
I was there from the beginning with the laying of the wreaths with the family members, the Gold Star family members, and some of the survivors of that terrorist attack in that disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. I was with them at Section 60, and what I saw was a very grave and somber remembrance and honoring of those lives that were lost. And I saw President Trump spending time at the invitation of these Gold Star families with them. He was there for a few hours. I did not see or hear about any kind of altercation until something came out in the news later on. The families were there grieving alongside President Trump, and it was a very special moment to really remember their names, remember their memories, and understand the true cost of war and the consequences of the decisions that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden made in the execution of that withdrawal. Yeah, and it is very clear that the former president was invited in his personal capacity, as you said, by a family of one of the service members who was killed about 2 years ago during the withdrawal from Afghanistan. It was 3 years ago. 3 years ago. 3 years ago to the day on August 26th.
Yes, 3 years ago. The question is about the federal law and Arlington's rules that prohibit partisan or political activities at national cemeteries. And the military and also other members of other families who are buried right near there are upset about the campaign filming it and posting the video online. Do you believe that was appropriate?
You know, I checked with the campaign on this question, and they have exchanges with the officials at Arlington Cemetery. They were approved to bring a camera there to document this historic and momentous day that should not be forgotten by any American. And to have a former president there and joining these Gold Star families, I know President Trump wanted to share that with others, especially given the fact that President Biden and Harris, I heard, were invited by some of these family members. They not only didn't come, they didn't even respond to that invitation. And now to have Kamala Harris put this statement out yesterday saying that she stands with these families, she stands with the military and with veterans. You only have to look at the response that came from the Gold Star families of these 13 service members of how offended they were by that statement, given she has not made any effort, not on that third anniversary or any other time, to call them directly to offer her condolences and even apologies for their decisions that led to the loss of their loved ones.
Do you think that the campaign will release that communication that you're talking about? Because the Army is saying very clearly that they broke the rules because it was clearly put out online, pictures, video, meant as a part of his campaign.
I thought they already had. I was informed that they had come to an agreement. They could bring a camera there. And as far as I know, and the public statements I've seen from the Army, is that the matter is closed.
I think the matter is closed about the altercation, alleged altercation, which you didn't see, but I'm not sure it's closed with the idea that they seem to have broken the rules and perhaps even federal law by putting out the campaign video. I want to ask you about...
I just like to say one last thing on this, because I think it's important. And I've seen a lot of the headlines and the stories and the concerns that people are raising about this. But to me, as a soldier and as someone who has been deployed to different war zones in the world, and I have friends who are buried there at Section 60, what is more outrageous to me is that there wasn't universal coverage of the momentous day of the third anniversary of the loss of these 13 Gold Star families, and the outrage that they feel that their loved ones are not getting the kind of coverage and memory that their great sacrifice deserves. That is what everyone should be outraged about.
Well, yeah, we have covered the horrible events 3 years ago, and have done so several times, over and over again. So I appreciate you also talking about their memories, because it is important.
I don't know about you, but I'm sure glad to have Tulsi Gabbard on the campaign trail and part of the potential transition team for the administration. Y'all can see that as the campaign goes on, this team begins to take shape and looks more and more like America. Now, you don't just have right wing. You got a little independent mixed in there. You got a little left wing mixed in there. A myriad of ideologies that all have one common goal: to make America better in many different ways, including economic ways, including social ways. And that's what we want, is it not? You don't have to ascribe to the mantra of make America great again. But if you be honest with yourself, you'd understand that when America is great, we're all the better for it. And I love how Tulsi can stand on her own 10 toes down against Dana Bash and take on these adversarial reporters who seem to ask a question, and when they don't like the answer, they want to editorialize at the end. Right before they throw in another question, you got to cut them off and say, whoa, 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 I'm not going to let you get away with that. You just tried to stuff some words in my mouth and then throw another question out there so we can move on. Nah, Tulsi caught it. I've seen J.D. Vance catch it. I've seen Donald Trump catch it. Yeah, if the media wants to be adversarial, seems like Team Trump is up for it. Seems like the Trump administration will be up for it. And you know what, y'all? I'm here for it. Could this be the unraveling of the Harris-Walz campaign? Seems like it's a comedy of errors. Seems like they're getting a lot of stuff wrong. And at this pivotal time in the world, it is not the time to elect a president that will continually get things wrong. We need a strong figure who's going to get things right despite opposition, despite adversaries, despite the complexities that are active around the world. Not someone who's going to make a bunch of missteps and make a bunch of unforced errors. Can you imagine how bad it would be for this unqualified, incapable person to take the seat of power in America at such a tumultuous time? Y'all, this ain't what we want. And it most certainly is not what we need at this time. Do yourself a favor and vote accordingly. Y'all like the video? Subscribe to the channel and share the video so we can get more people involved in the conversation, y'all. And like I always say, always remember and never forget, without the gospel, it's just chops. Until next time, peace.